Hi, Gina. Lovely to meet you. Wow.
Hello.
So I guess we get started then.
Yeah.
Great. I really love the film. Obviously, it's just so heartwarming and like gorgeously shot. And I loved how your character Marion really acts as this frame for which the audience explores all this turmoil and the past. How did you go about constructing that and her interaction with the other 1990s characters?
We were very fortunate that we could work in because we shot this in 2021, so there was COVID protocols in place. But our bubble was the 1999 crew, so we could have conversations, Linus Roach and Rupert Everett and myself, about elements of the story. And then we were also very fortunate because the 1950s stuff had been shot first. So we were very fortunate to have some reference material from that so we could look at that and use Michael Grandage, our brilliant director, as a conduit to help us bring things together. But it was really great that we had a few days, Rupert and Linus, myself and Michael, to talk about things that had occurred to us when we read the script and things that we felt were important and things that we would like to concentrate on in the hope that audiences pick up on it too.
Yeah. I mean, that's quite nice as well. You have this footage already, which sort of acts as maybe your memories in a sense, and you can refer to that when building the character.
Yeah, it's a nice way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously you've won the Toronto Film Festival Actor Award for the ensemble, and you can really see that in the mirroring between the two casts. Obviously, you didn't spend a lot of time with Emma, but what was it like to build this joint portrayal for Marion?
It was really wonderful because had the opportunity to watch Emma in about 3 or 4 scenes. I also went back to watch her in The Crown, and I was looking at any material I could find, for example, of interviews that she had done to see if that might be useful. Sometimes that stuff can help. Sometimes it's kind of just an interesting thing to do. um,
Yeah.
but we also had a telephone conversation about Marion and our thoughts. So all of those elements helped.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I really I loved watching Marion at work. She has this really lovely arc, I think, where she sort of begins to represent the changing perspectives and the changing times between the 50s and the 90s. Um, and then obviously a lot has changed since in the last 30 years as well. Why would you say these stories and this film is so relevant now?
It's very interesting that even if, well, first of all, if you didn't know about the history, for example, of what was happening in Britain in the 1950s, it's well worth going back. Even if you do think you know it, it's well worth reminding yourself, because when you start to look at the statistics of what was happening, for example, with police and the gay community, it's staggering. It's absolutely staggering. Then, of course, in 1999, we still had Section 28 in this country. And, so it reminds you that for all of the steps we've taken forward, there's often a regression, or the momentum is, I don't know, somehow slackened. But I think that if nothing else, if it helps us all move forward and continue to help people feel that they can live their lives safely and truthfully, then that would make me feel like we've achieved something.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, a film like this with people like Harry Styles and Emma is bound to bring in younger audiences, maybe audiences who aren't familiar with this sort of history at all.
Yeah.
Is there any specific message you want them to take away from it?
I think exactly what I said before, just be aware that um, change takes a lot of courage and a lot of effort, and we can't rest. We've still got a lot of work to do.
That's lovely. Yeah. Um, Sort of sidetracking a bit. I think a lot of what makes the film so lovely to watch is the location, and the way that Wright and really I mean, it's gorgeously shot, but then it also personifies some of the emotional turmoil that's happening quite visually. Um, I mean, what was it like shooting on location? And yeah, is there anything about Brighton that you just thought was so necessary to show?
I think we're really fortunate in Britain that we've got, even though it's a relatively small country, it's actually terrain-wise incredibly varied, and we've got some incredible countryside and beautiful cities and towns. And so Brighton has had a fantastic history, and particularly with the gay community, and it architecturally is very, very interesting. And also that coastline, the south coastline of England is really stunning. You know, it's made up of chalk, so these white cliffs are very, very photogenic. And obviously any sea or any ocean brings about
Mm.
such a massive amount of atmosphere, and it really helps on our story as well, understanding that the elements are kind of there constantly
Yeah,
raging or waiting, you know,
yeah.
to basically overpower our human lives. And so I think the geography of it is super important.